it's going to reach them.
While you have representatives there, and I appreciate the point that you're making about your field officers and different officers and so on, is it fair to say that you are not on the ground with the people of your constituency as often as you should be? That people are saying, again, you can't take a few calls and assume that that is a full representation, but there were some calls yesterday, quite a few calls yesterday, people saying that they don't see you around walking the constituency, they don't see you in their particular area. Is it that you are unable, because of your ministerial responsibilities, you are unable to be in the constituency as often as you should?
No, that is not true at all. No, that's not true at all. Sunday I was there, as I tell you, in Coruscant. Saturday I was in other areas of the constituency. I'm in the constituency all the time. But you're always going to have people who are disaffected. Let's take an area, Springvale. Springvale is an area where Mr. Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj continues to have some support. But in Springvale, we have built pavements since I came into office. We have built drainage. We have refurbished the community center and air-conditioned it, put in new stage, new kitchen facilities and so on. At the Springvale Hindu school next door, I'm setting up a greenhouse for the school in order to bring agricultural technology to the school and encourage young people again to go into agriculture. You have to go out there and really see. In Springvale also, the playground is lights have gone up, it's being drained and so on. That is an area that Mr. Maharaj served for many years, and he never did anything about that. But you can't tell me it's about opposition politics versus being in government. When I was in opposition in the borough of Chaguanas, I'm the only opposition mayor to have caused to be built a town hall in the country. Of 14 corporations, even under the PNM, I'm the only one that got a major town hall built in the. So it's not about opposition. Mr. Maharaj would not be able to claim, well, he was in opposition and he wasn't able to do these things. You have to represent, and I think I'm a very effective representative of the people.
Do you think there's a political dimension to all of these protests that we're seeing around the country?
In everything there is politics. The opposition in Trinidad and Tobago is not going to let up on the government. That is the nature of the politics. They want to get into office, and if they can stimulate a demonstration here and a demonstration there, surely they are going to do it.
But are there legitimate concerns, and you yourself...
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. There are legitimate concerns. I'm not denying that they are not legitimate concerns. They are legitimate concerns, and we are going to address those concerns. With the PURE program being back on the road, most of the road problems are going to be handled very, very quickly. Local government, Mr. Chandri Sharma announced 181 projects, local government projects, 3 in each councillor's area. And that is also going to add to the infrastructure that is going to be developed. You mentioned the PURE program, and you talk about your time as Chaguanas mayor, which inevitably brings forth the name of Jack Warner, because you were removed as mayor of Chaguanas, and it came to light a couple of weeks ago during the no confidence motion that Mr. Warner had some discussion with members of the People's National Movement prior to the internal elections of the UNC on May 24th, 2010. You were quoted in the media saying you do not trust Mr. Warner. You stated that emphatically. Are you comfortable with Jack Warner as chairman of the United National Congress? Mr. Warner has won the elections fair and square. He's now part of the executive of the UNC, and therefore we have...
He was always previously.
We have to work as a team.
Can you?
Well, we have worked as a team for 2 years. You're always going to have memories of what happened. You cannot get away from that. That's the nature of a human being. And therefore, you always adjust your thinking and you adjust your strategy. But what you do is that you focus on what is the common purpose that you're about. And that's where I have been focusing. What is the common purpose of the United National Congress? Which is service and delivery to people. And therefore, you try to manage your interpersonal relationships with people at the same time. And that's what I've been doing, Mr. Warner.
You, correct me if I'm wrong, were you in support of Ashwani Mahabir as chairman of the UNC, as part of the nationalists team?
We said on the platform, and I said on the platform on Thursday last at Himalaya Club, that may the best man win. Right? I was not supporting any one of the candidates personally.
But wasn't he on the team of the nationalists?
No, he was not on the team of the nationalists.
All right.
We did not put up a candidate for chairmanship. We thought that there were 2 candidates and let the people decide. And I voted, which is my personal right to vote. But as I said, I said there, may the best man win, and that was my position.
And Mr. Warner has also talked about the cabal, talked about that there is some high-powered cabal, even within the cabinet of which he is a part, that is working against him. When statements like that are made, doesn't that talk about major schisms and rifts at the very highest level of the governance of this country?
I think you have to understand the personality of Mr. Warner. Sometimes Mr. Warner says things and then he himself regrets it. There is no cabal.
But he hasn't backed away from that.
Well, maybe you should ask him again. But I have no evidence of there being a cabal. There's a cabinet that meets every Thursday, and the cabinet takes decision as a cabinet. That is how the government operates. There's no cabal operating the government. The Prime Minister comes, there are cabinet notes. Every minister is entitled to bring his or cabinet note. The cabinet notes that need more discussion go to the Finance and General Purposes Committee, and from there it comes back to the cabinet. So to say that there's a cabal, when in fact you have a structure and when you have a process through the cabinet and the cabinet notes, I think is not a correct statement.